Hi, I'm Donnie Bryson. Welcome to another edition of the Assemblies of God Sunday School lesson. The lesson today is entitled In the Lion's Den. It's taken from Daniel, the 6th chapter, verses 1 through 28. Today's lesson is for May the 17th, 2026. The important truth in today's lesson is the damage in relationships caused by jealousy. We see the other leaders were very jealous of Daniel. They plotted to kill him. In the end, it backfired on them. That's the way jealousy usually works. We reap what we sow. The writer of Proverbs says in Proverbs 26:27, whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back on him who starts it rolling. The king in today's lesson is called Darius. There's a lot of debate regarding the historical names for this Darius. I lean toward him also being called Cyaxares II in some historical records. But he could have been Darius the Great, Astyages, Cyrus, Cambyses II, Igbaru, or Gubaru. All I know for certain is the account recorded in Daniel is true and accurate. I'm very fuzzy on which historical ruler relates back to this particular Darius. Daniel 6, 1 through 3. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps, to be throughout the whole kingdom, and over them 3 high officials, of whom Daniel was one, to whom these satraps should give account, so that the king might suffer no loss. Then this Daniel became distinguished above the other high officials and satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. The high officials in the ESV are translated presidents in some other versions. Regardless of the term, there was a very hierarchical structure in this particular government. There were the satraps with the 3 high officials or presidents overseeing them. Daniel had been selected to be over the 3 because he had displayed the wisdom given to him by God in his daily duties. Daniel was obedient and sought God, and God blessed his efforts. Daniel 6, 4 through 5. Then the high officials and the satraps sought to find a ground for complaint against Daniel with regard to the kingdom. But they could not find no ground for complaint or any fault, because he was faithful, and no error or fault was found in him. Then these men said, we shall not find any ground or complaint against this Daniel unless we find it in the connection with the law of his God. Well, friends, they were jealous. They also knew that their position in life would be below Daniel. The wisdom that Daniel exhibited triggered his placement above them. They were both jealous and greedy. They wanted to benefit of being the first in command. But let's look at the testimony of the life of Daniel. They could not find anything wrong to accuse Daniel. Daniel lived a godly, wholesome life. They decided to trap Daniel using that godly life. Daniel 6, 6 through 9. Then these high officials and satraps came by agreement to the king and said to him, O King Darius, live forever. All the high officials of the kingdom, the prefects and the satraps, the counselors and the governors, are agreed that the king should establish an ordinance and enforce an injunction that whoever makes petition to any god or man for 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the injunction and sign the document so that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be revoked. Therefore, King Darius signed the document and injunction. We see the weakness of this king. A stronger king would probably not have taken this recommendation. For 30 days, he would be the only one receiving a petition to a deity. There are two ways of understanding it. One way is Darius was asserting himself as a deity, but that's completely unlike the other Persian leaders of the day. It's possible, but I lean toward the other way of understanding it. The second way is that Darius was asserting himself as the only mediator between earth and heaven. That seems more plausible. Regardless, it's clear later he did not consider Daniel to be in trouble because of this decree. Darius was completely fooled by the leaders. Daniel 6 and 10. When Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house where he had windows in his upper chamber open toward Jerusalem. He got down on his knees and 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he had done previously. This is not Daniel showing off. Daniel went back to his house and did exactly what he had been doing every day for years. The rule did not change Daniel's daily habit. Daniel 6 and 11 through 13. Then these men came by agreement and found Daniel making petition and plea before his God. Then they came near and said before the king concerning the injunction, O king, did you not sign an injunction that anyone who makes petition to any god or man within 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing stands fast according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be revoked. Then they answered and said before the king, Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, O king, and the injunction you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. The jealous leaders point out that Daniel is one of the exiles from Judea. That was a slur. They also remind the king that it isn't allowed to revoke or ignore a rule that has been created. They feel confident that they have won over on Daniel. They think they've won. Daniel 6:14 through 15. Then the king, when he had heard these words, was much distressed and set his mind to deliver Daniel. He labored till the sun went down to rescue him. Then these men came by agreement to the king and said to the king, Know, O king, that it is a law of the Medes and Persians that no injunction or ordinance that the king establishes can be changed. Darius had some good qualities. He tried desperately to protect Daniel. He gave a full day of trying to work something out. But at the end of the day, it was obvious that he couldn't work anything out. Daniel 6:16 through 18. Then the king commanded, and Daniel was brought and cast into the den of lions. The king declared to Daniel, May your God, whom you serve continually, deliver you. And a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet and the signet of his lords, that nothing might be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and spent the night fasting. No diversions were brought to him, and sleep fled from him. The king wished Daniel safety, but he still had him thrown into the lion's den. Again, we see how little power the king had in this society. He was being forced to do something he didn't want to do. Daniel 6:19 through 22. Then at break of day, the king arose and went in haste to the den of lions. As he came near to the den where Daniel was, he cried out in a tone of anguish. The king declared to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions? Then Daniel said to the king, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths, and they have not harmed me, because I was found blameless before him, and also before you, O king, I have done no harm. After a sleepless night, the king rushed to the door of the lion's den. He cries out to see if Daniel survived the night. Daniel shows his respect to the king when he starts his response with, O king, live forever. Daniel gives all glory to God. Daniel again states that he is innocent of harming anyone. Daniel 6:23 through 24. Then the king was exceedingly glad and commanded that Daniel be taken up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no kind of harm was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. And the king commanded, and those men who had maliciously accused Daniel were brought and cast into the den of lions. They, their children, and their wives. And before they reached the bottom of the den, the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones in pieces. The king rejoiced that Daniel was okay. We see the results of the jealousy and greed on the lives of the rulers that plotted against Daniel. The rulers and their families were executed. Now, the additional deaths listed here is not an encouragement on the part of the Bible for families to be punished for the crimes of the parent. Darius was not a Christian. His decisions were not an example for us to follow, but we do see the negative impact on the families that were touched by the crimes of their fathers. This happens so often in life. The family suffers when the parent becomes a drug addict. The family suffers when the parent is caught stealing. The family suffers when the parent is out drinking and driving. There are consequences for a family when one of the parents does wrong. Daniel 6:25 through 28. Then King Darius wrote to all the peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in the earth. Peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in all my royal dominion people are to tremble in fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, enduring forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed, and his dominion shall be to the end. He delivers and rescues. He works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He who has saved Daniel from the power of the lions. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. What a great hymn of praise that Darius set out to the people. He underscores God is eternal. He underscores God delivers and rescues. He officially testifies that God saved Daniel from the lions. A couple of concluding thoughts. First, beware of letting your jealousy and greed take over. Many times, the trap you set for someone else will catch you instead of them. Nothing good ever comes from jealousy and greed. Second, when you're faced with a challenge to your faith and your righteous living, continue just like Daniel. Many times, God will miraculously deliver you just as he did Daniel here. Sometimes, however, you'll face the consequences just like Brother Stephen did. The critical thing is making sure that you're obedient and loyal to God. Well, friends, good Lord willing, I'll be back with you next weekend.